Good evening, and welcome to the fascinating web series where we dive into the obscure world of internet communication, exploring chat rooms and the creepy people that lie within them. All conversations and people in these episodes are completely real, and as a warning, some of the content can be disturbing and some people may wish not to view. With that being said, please enjoy. Discord Predator Hunting.
Tonight on Discord Predator Hunting, I'll be talking to a grown man online who believes he's chatting to a 13-year-old girl, calling me his slave, and even going as far as to get me to call him his master. We talk to different types of people online. We don't really know who we're talking to, but we interact with them anyway. It goes from one end of the spectrum to the other, whether it be talking to people who enjoy posting pictures of puppies to serial killers. Tonight's episode is definitely no exception when it comes to talking about the broad ends of this social spectrum.
Identical to the layout of the last episode, I've set up another Bates profile, quite similar to the one I previously had, this time naming myself Jenna. Again, I will be playing the role of an underage girl and will be using my own face photoshopped into a female, and joining a couple of Discord servers with the main purpose to be for dating. Within 1 week, I've received over 70 direct messages straight to my inbox, most of which being inappropriate in nature. However, of those 70 plus people, today's focus is on a predator that goes by the online name of Baby Afen Yuta. He's male and is 21 years old. From the username, it sparks the suspicion that this man is likely from Germany. When translated from German to English, the name Baby Afen Yuta translates to baby monkey udder. Moving on, the predator sees my profile and takes the bait, initiating the chat by directly messaging me with a less than appropriate greeting. His first message to me reads, "Do you blank sometimes?" In other words, do you pleasure yourself sometimes? I'm not sure if it's just me, but in what world do people of any age greet a person by asking them if they sexually pleasure themselves sometimes, especially before not even knowing how old the person is? As he may not have known how old the age of the girl I was playing was, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, as maybe he really did just want some fun time with a girl the same age as him. So I ask him his age, and he tells me he's 21. Now comes the question which will determine how the course of the conversation will go, depending on his answer. I'm 13, is that okay? And what a surprise, he says sure. From this point on, everything he says is under the knowledge that the girl he thinks he's talking to is a minor. Keep that in mind. Immediately after confirming he's okay with this, he requests a picture of me. Unsure of what he might want the picture for, he says he just wants to see me. So, as any normal person would reply, I inform him, I don't really want to do that, I just met you. His next statement will shock you. You're my slave girl now, so show me. You'll find that in a lot of these predators' cases, many of them strive for this power relationship, establishing dominance over someone more submissive. Looking at an article written on Psychology Today titled "The Thinking Processes of Sexual Predators," this makes an interesting remark on the power relationship we just witnessed happening. To quote Stanton E. Same now, sexual predators have plenty of sexual experience, but it is shallow. Sex is a control operation for them. The idea is to conquer a body, not have a relationship. He has sex on his mind a great deal of the time, looking at females as potential targets. This is something that will increase greatly in significance and become a lot more apparent as the video goes on, as his advances get far more explicit. In response, I tell him I'm shy, to which he tells me I won't show anyone. Telling the supposed child that they won't disclose the contents of the conversation to anyone else is most predators' way of attempting to create a private bond with the child, making them feel comfortable so they are more receptive to explicit requests. However, I don't want to be giving away anything too easy. In these conversations, I make it my goal to have the predator say as many things as possible that are undoubtedly deemed as incriminating, so I have more evidence to present to the Discord management team. I point out that he can already see me in my profile picture, and that should be enough. But it seems that he is after more than just a picture of my face. As he states, I want to see your body too. It only continues to get much worse. I ask him, what parts of my body? Not being very specific, he says, every part of your body. I say, like my arm, and then we get the response I was looking for. Start with your boobs. After trying to figure out what types of photos he specifically wants, I send him a provocative photo I found on a legal, explicit website of a girl he thinks is me. I explain, this one is from earlier. It's dark now though, so I can't take any more. But obviously, he wants more and tells me to turn my lights on. Determined not to send him another picture just yet, I tell him no. It's late and my mum will see and I'll get in trouble. This is where he starts to get pushy. He commands me to go into the bathroom now. I exclaim, no, she will hear me. I ask him why he wants another picture. He replies, I'm horny. He proceeds to ask me if I have nudes. I make him fully aware that I don't feel comfortable sending them. He barters with me and says he will show me something too, and then repeats the same as before, you're my slave. So, I decide to comply and agree to send them on the terms he doesn't share them with anyone else. After I send it, he becomes suspicious and asks for proof of it being a picture of me. Obviously, there is no way that I can prove this is me, so I have to challenge the request. What? Why would I do that? He replies, I want to trust you. So I keep in character and tell him, if I can trust you to send you my nude, I'm pretty sure you can trust me. He makes the point that maybe I trust him because that picture isn't even of me. Funnily enough, he doesn't know how right he really is. He points out that I don't look 13 and my breasts are smaller in one of the pictures. I reassure him that this is because one of the photos I was wearing a push-up bra. Apparently satisfied with the clarification, he then asks if I'm a virgin. I say, don't laugh. Yes. He tells me that's good, then asks me if I perform the act of physically pleasuring myself. I reply negatively, saying, I have thought about it, but I've never done it. He says he thinks it's good I'm a virgin, but then proceeds to make a vulgar inquisition. Got a picture of your lady parts? I reply, no, I've never gone that dirty before, and also add, why is it good, in my response to the virgin message. The next message will disgust and appall you. He responds with, because I like my girls untouched. Rub your blank for me. When I receive messages like this, it really is a shock to the system. Just realizing how messed up the person I'm talking to is enough to make me sweat. He goes into more detail about which part I should touch, and then sends a graphic message of how I should put 2 fingers inside. He asks me if I like it. I respond, it feels nice, it gives me butterflies. Wet, he asks. I let him know I am. He goes into more detail, asking about the texture of the contents. And his next request will make you shiver. Okay, take out your fingers and blank them clean. Staying in character, I act shocked and say, in my mouth? What? He gets snappy again and demands, now. I tell him, I did it. It tastes funny. And ask, do other people do that? His next request is so graphic that I don't even want to read it out. I reinstate that I don't feel comfortable doing that, letting him know that I'm not okay with what he's telling me to do. However, he isn't having any of it, as he demands now. I reiterate, but I don't want to, and he tells me I'm the worst slave ever. So I apologize. But he isn't taking no for an answer despite how many times I have to say it. So, finally I give in and pretend to do it. After I say that, he asks me to do something else completely sick. He says, now lay on your back, spread your legs in the air and rub your blank. After telling him how it feels, he instructs me to push my fingers inside, slowly blanking my blank hole. The main thing that shocks me about these people is they all say these disgusting things under the impression that they're actually talking to a child. The bizarre mindset they possess will never cease to baffle me. This should never be acceptable under any circumstance. Anyway, I tell him how it feels, then decide I need to get some evidence of his intent. So, I ask him, what would you do if you were here? The response has to be so strongly censored that most of the words consist of blank. I would spread your blank cheeks apart and blank your dirt blank hole while blanking your blank with my fingers. I say it would be nice if you could come round, followed up by one of the most absurd requests I've ever received from any predator yet. He asks, would you fart for me? I love that. Never before, from all the predators that I've been interacting with, have I ever received a request so ghastly that it made me question what the hell am I doing. After I act startled, which I actually was in real life, he goes on to explain that he loves the sound, and then something a lot more indecent. I tell him that I might be open to it. Then, as if he doesn't believe what he is hearing, he re-asks me about my age. to which I reassure him that I did already tell him I was 13. Immediately, he comes back with a question that will make you feel sick to your stomach. Would you let me blank inside your blank? Judging by my reaction, you can probably figure out what he was asking to do. If that's what you want to do, wouldn't I get pregnant? He says maybe. Have a hairbrush with you? Wondering what kind of unusual ideas he may be getting with a statement like that, I tell him yes. And without hesitation, he tells me to put the handle inside my blank. I reply, what? No, that will hurt. Evidently, he doesn't care, and tells me to just blank your blank first for a bit. Followed by the most disgusting and incriminating message I have ever received in my entire life. Those who have struggled to watch so far, you may want to look away now. He says, like it's my blank, I'm shoving into your child blank. This message made me feel so disgusted, so angry, that a person could even say a disgusting thing like that and feel good about it despite it being to who he thinks is a child. The next 15 minutes is spent receiving absolutely disgusting messages from this sick man until it comes to a particular message where he asks me to fart for him. This was a great time to utilize the 57,000 plus sound effects I collected over the years from the times when I used to make animations. I tell him I can record one for him, which he seems to be very open to. So, I open up my sound effects folder and select this stock fart sound effect, obviously not being my own, and then sent it to him. As if unsatisfied, he asks for a moan or blank your blank that should make the sound as well. Don't disappoint your master. So I send him some lewd noises taken from an explicit website. He says, damn that's good, but why no moaning? I make out that my mum is right next door and she'll hear me if I make any noise, but he insists on continuing to incriminate himself. He says, just a quiet moan or a little master while blanking your virgin blank. I start getting frustrated with his obsessive behavior and exclaim, no. Look, be happy I'm even doing this much. She could walk in at any minute. He comes back at me with, you're my slave girl. You have to do this stuff. Or just say, master blank me, really quiet. When I refuse, he later on starts getting aggressive and tells me to push the hairbrush into my blank again. I want you to fart again, you stupid blank. So now not only is he sexually harassing who he thinks is a child, but also insulting them with demeaning names. I tell him I don't want to. He responds, but I do. And that's the important part. I'm starting to get fed up with his downright illegal behavior and decide I've collected enough evidence to present to the Discord team to have his account terminated. So I start to wrap it up. I tell him, I'm getting scared now. I think I'm gonna stop now. He says, you're disappointing your master. No pictures and stopping without permission. I explain, I'm sorry, but I don't feel comfortable doing it anymore. He asks, did you blank? When I tell him I didn't, he then continues to attempt to drive the conversation back to a sexually charged nature, asking, would you like daddy to blank you? And he just goes on and on until finally we reach the end of our conversation where he tells me to put the hairbrush back in my blank. Since then, I've had no further communication with this predator. I've handed over the evidence and information to the Discord team and I'm awaiting his account termination.
Tonight's episode has definitely been on the extreme and explicit side of the spectrum, which is why YouTube does not deem my episodes of Discord Predator Hunting as suitable for advertisers, which is why before I wrap it up, I just want to point out that I would be very grateful if anyone could go to my Patreon and possibly think about donating. If you can't afford, please share the video as this will also greatly help me out. I've been Pick Surprise, and remember, stay safe and goodbye.